This is Gabriel Swaggart here this morning, and I'm coming to you, of course, from my office. And something that I just wanted to share with you just for a moment, and in studying here, as I normally do, one of the first things I do when I come into the office is I study my commentary. And I'm in the commentary on the book of Psalms, and it's one of the most enjoying studies that one would ever have. But I was reading just a verse here the other day in the 17th Psalm, and it just struck me as something that I just wanted to deal with just for a moment. Psalm 17, verse 7, "Show your marvelous loving kindness, O thou who saves by your right hand them which put their trust in you, from those who rise up against them." And there's one word that really caught my attention, and it was the word trust. It really captured my attention. And I really began to look at this word trust, and one of the things that I began to ask myself, and of course in studying, how do we trust God? How do we really trust the Lord? How do we place our trust in Him? Well, first of all, that word trust, it means to confide. It's really what it means. It means to confide in someone. It really looks for someone to put their trust, their confidence in, that they know that they're going to be a strong tower for them, or words of that effect. In other words, someone who's not going to leave them alone. That's really what it means. Someone that they can depend on, that's not going to leave them alone. And as I was looking at that word trust is spoken of and written of some 50 times or close to it just in the book of Psalms alone. And I was really starting to look and just looking at the word and looking at what this whole thing encapsulates. I want to focus really on how do we put our trust in God. I know that some would say whenever we battle sickness, well, I don't want to go to the doctor because I put my trust in the Lord. Well, that's not really what trusting the Lord is. Do we thank God for His miracles? Absolutely. Do we thank God and believe that He is a healer? Absolutely. But at times, the Lord does heal us regarding the uses of medicine, regarding modern technology in the realm of medicine. And I can attest to that. And but that's not really what I deal with today. I want to deal with the trust. How do we put our trust in God? What does it mean? Simply, all it means for us as a believer to trust in God, to put our trust in Him, it all goes back to where our faith is at. Trust and faith, faith and trust. When your faith is anchored in Christ, who He is and what He's accomplished for you, that trust will be there because you know, even in the midst of your worst situations, even in the midst of your darkest days, that when your faith is right, that trust will be there, that no matter what, God is going to bring me through. So our trust has to be anchored with our faith. If your faith is misplaced, your trust will be misplaced. If your faith is in man, your trust will be in man. And therefore, man will leave you hanging. But when your faith is in Christ, who He is and what He has done, regarding to the cross, that's where it all boils down to, the cross. If your faith is right, then your trust will be right. Yes, I'm not saying, understand me, I'm not saying that when your faith is right and your trust is right, you'll never have another problem. Nothing can be further from the truth. Faith has to be tested and faith has to be tried for it to come out as true faith. But when your faith is right, your trust will be right, knowing that what I read to you just a moment ago, show your marvelous loving kindness, O thou who saves, but by your right hand, them which put their trust in you, from those who rise up against them. That tells us the devil's going to rise up against us. Man's going to rise up against us. And the devil's going to use even certain others to rise up against you. But if your faith is right, which goes back to Christ and the cross, your trust will be right, then you know that the Lord is going to bring you out. The Lord is never going to lose one whose faith is right and whose trust is right. So I want to encourage you here this morning. Where is your faith? It must be in Christ and Him crucified. And if it's in Christ and Him crucified, your trust will be right. And through thick, through thin, through the waters of life, the storms of life, if you trust Him, if your faith is right, He will see you through. I know that some will say, well, I really don't believe. Well, there you go. If your faith is not right, you will not experience what true trust is. This trust that we have in Christ is linked squarely with our faith in Christ and Him crucified. I promise you this, if your faith is right, you trust Him, He'll never leave you hanging. If your faith is right and you trust Him, He will never, ever let you go. That's one thing that you can count on. God bless you. We love you.